The cold steel of the gun barrel pressed against my skull while I lay face down in my own vault, surrounded by $1 million in diamonds I might never see again. This is my last moment, I thought, but then I heard my brother scream in the next room. December 29th, 2018. John Fish Jewelers, Las Vegas. It was 6:47 p.m., 13 minutes before closing time, when two men in hoodies walked through my front door and changed my life forever. My name is John Fish, and I've been selling jewelry in Las Vegas for 23 years, but I'd never stared down the barrel of a gun while lying face down in my own safe, listening to my brother Steven being terrorized in the next room. The robbers had been watching us for weeks, timing our routines, studying our security, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. What they didn't know was that my employee Robert Torres was armed, hidden in the back room, and about to turn their simple robbery into the deadliest jewelry store shootout in Las Vegas history. The first gunman came straight for me, his weapon drawn before the door had even closed behind him. "Get on the ground! Get in the vault!" he screamed, his voice muffled by a ski mask that couldn't hide the rage in his eyes. There was no negotiation, no demand for money first, just immediate, violent control. He grabbed me by my shirt collar and shoved me toward the open safe, where I kept the most expensive pieces, diamonds worth more than most people's houses. This wasn't some desperate drug addict looking for quick cash. This was a professional operation, executed by men who'd done this before. I stumbled into the vault, my hands shaking as I tried to process what was happening. In 23 years of business, I'd been robbed twice before, but those were quick grab-and-run operations. This felt different, more personal, more deadly. The second gunman had my brother Steven and a customer on the ground in the showroom, their hands zip-tied behind their backs, their faces pressed against the cold tile floor. "Nobody moves, nobody dies," the first gunman said, but something in his tone suggested that might not be true. Lying face down on the vault floor, feeling the gun barrel pressed against the back of my skull, I had a moment of absolute clarity about my own mortality. This could be it. This could be how my story ends. Murdered in my own jewelry store by strangers who saw my life as expendable collateral in their get-rich-quick scheme. The diamonds surrounding me, each one representing months of work and years of dreams, suddenly seemed worthless compared to the possibility of never seeing my family again. "Please don't hurt my brother," I whispered, my voice barely audible over the sound of my own heartbeat. That's when I heard the first gunshot. Not from the vault where I was trapped, but from the showroom where Steven was being held. Then another shot. Then screaming. The gunman standing over me spun toward the sound, his attention momentarily diverted from my execution to whatever chaos was erupting outside the vault. I couldn't see what was happening, but I could hear everything. Furniture crashing, glass breaking, men shouting commands over the deafening pop of gunfire. My employee Robert Torres had emerged from the back room, and the simple robbery had just become a war zone. The psychological terror of being trapped in that vault, listening to a gunfight that might kill everyone I cared about, was worse than having a gun to my head. At least when I was facing my own death, I knew my fate. Now I was helpless, unable to protect my brother, unable to help Robert, unable to do anything except lie there and listen to bullets destroying everything I'd built over 2 decades. The sound of gunfire in an enclosed space is overwhelming, not just loud, but physically painful, each shot like a hammer blow to your chest. 27 shots were fired in less than 2 minutes. 27 moments when anyone in that store could have died, when my brother could have caught a stray bullet, when Robert could have been overwhelmed by superior numbers and firepower. I counted every shot, marking time by violence, measuring my brother's survival in the silence between gunshots. When the shooting finally stopped, the silence was almost worse than the noise had been. Silence could mean victory, or it could mean everyone was dead. John, are you okay?" Steven's voice cut through the ringing in my ears, and I've never heard anything more beautiful in my life. He was alive. Somehow, in the middle of a firefight, with bullets flying everywhere and smoke filling the air, my brother had survived. I crawled out of the vault on my hands and knees, emerging into a scene that looked like a war zone. Glass everywhere, blood on the floor, the smell of gunpowder so thick you could taste it. One of the robbers was dead, sprawled near the front door with multiple gunshot wounds. The other had fled, leaving his partner's body behind like discarded trash. Robert Torres, the employee who'd saved our lives, was critically wounded but conscious. He'd been shot 3 times during the exchange, but had kept fighting, kept protecting us even as his own life was draining away onto the showroom floor. The customer who'd been in the wrong place at the wrong time was shaken but unharmed, proof that sometimes luck matters more than preparation. And Stephen, my brother who'd been held at gunpoint and forced to watch a shootout unfold around him, was alive because one man with a concealed carry permit had decided that innocent people were worth fighting for. The aftermath was surreal in ways that movies never capture. Police arriving with weapons drawn, not knowing if the shooting was over or just pausing. Paramedics working on Robert while detectives photographed bloodstains and bullet holes. Media crews setting up outside, turning our trauma into tomorrow's headline. Insurance adjusters calculating the cost of violence in dollars and cents. But the real aftermath was psychological. The way trauma rewires your brain, makes you jump at unexpected sounds, makes you see potential threats in every customer who walks through your door. The investigation revealed that the robbers had been casing the store for weeks, studying our routines, planning the perfect crime. They knew when we closed, knew how many people would be in the store, knew exactly where the most valuable merchandise was kept. What they hadn't known was that Robert Torres was a military veteran with a concealed carry permit and the training to use it effectively under pressure. Their perfect plan had one fatal flaw. They'd assumed we were helpless victims rather than people prepared to defend ourselves. Gregory Richardson, the surviving robber, was arrested 3 months later when cell phone records placed him at the scene during the shooting. He was charged with robbery, assault, and conspiracy, facing decades in prison for a crime that netted him nothing except his partner's death and his own eventual conviction. The mathematics of armed robbery are always brutal. High risk, low reward, and consequences that last forever. But criminals rarely do that math before they pull the trigger. 6 months after the shooting, we reopened the store with enhanced security systems and a renewed appreciation for the fragility of safety. Every day, customers walk through the same door those gunmen used, browse the same showcases where bullets flew, stand in the same spots where men fought for their lives. Most of them have no idea what happened here, and that's probably for the best. Trauma shouldn't be a tourist attraction, and survival shouldn't be a sales pitch. But the psychological scars remain. I still flinch when someone walks in wearing a hoodie. I still check the back room obsessively, making sure Robert's replacement understands the protocols we've put in place. I still have nightmares about lying in that vault, feeling that gun barrel against my skull, wondering if I'd live to see another sunrise. Post-traumatic stress isn't just for soldiers. It's for anyone who's stared death in the face and lived to remember the experience. The broader implications extend beyond our individual trauma. This shooting became a case study in concealed carry effectiveness, cited by both gun rights advocates and gun control supporters to support their opposing positions. But for those of us who lived through it, the political debates miss the point. This wasn't about gun rights or gun control. It was about good people refusing to be victims, about the split-second decisions that determine who goes home to their families and who becomes a statistic. Robert Torres spent weeks in the hospital recovering from his wounds, but he never expressed regret about his decision to fight back. "I wasn't going to let them hurt you and Stephen," he told me during one of my visits. "Sometimes you have to stand up to evil, even if it might kill you. That's the kind of courage that can't be taught or bought. It has to come from somewhere deeper than training or preparation. It has to come from the belief that some things are worth dying for." Today, John Fish Jewelers continues to serve Las Vegas customers, but we're different people running a different kind of business. We're survivors, not just business owners. We're living proof that when evil walks through your door, you have choices. You can surrender, you can fight, or you can hope someone else will fight for you. We got lucky that day. Robert Torres made sure we got lucky. But luck is just preparation meeting opportunity, and Robert was prepared to meet the worst opportunity of our lives. The security footage from that day has been viewed millions of times online, turning our trauma into viral content. People watch it like entertainment, analyzing tactics and outcomes without understanding the human cost. But for every view, I hope at least one person understands the real message. Evil exists, it's often armed, And the only thing that stops a bad person with a gun is a good person with the courage to fight back. Share this story to remember that heroes don't always wear uniforms or badges. Sometimes they're just employees who refuse to let innocent people die on their watch. In a world where criminals count on victims being helpless, someone has to be prepared to prove them wrong. On December 29, 2018, that someone was Robert Torres, and because of his courage, 3 innocent people went home to their families instead of to the morgue.